Welcome to 30 Days of Marketing Mavens. 30 days, 30 experts, 30 marketing niches. Brought to you by Profit Master Business Solutions. More leads, more sales, and more revenue for your small or medium-sized business. Click findnewrevenue.com to learn more. Now here's your host, Howard Walpoff.
Welcome back to 30 Days of Marketing Mavens. Thank you so much again for joining us. Again, this is brought to you by Profit Master Business Solutions. And today I'm very, very excited. We have someone who really has been working with small business and small business owners for a long time with a lot of different amazing concepts that they've shared and helped develop over the years. Her name is Rieva Lesonsky. She's the founder and CEO of GrowBiz Media. She's been providing small business assistance to America's entrepreneurs for more than 30 years. She's an expert on new business ideas and how to start a small business and how to build a successful company. And she's the author of the best-selling book, Start Your Own Business, and the former editorial director of Entrepreneur Magazine. So, Rieva, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. Can I also throw in our website is smallbizdaily.com. Smallbizdaily.com. So
smallbizdaily.com.
Yeah.
So let's start with what developed that gave you this passion to work with small businesses. Let's start there.
Well, I grew up in a small business, right? You know, I'm a second generation American. So I think in that generation, that first generation, they just started their own businesses. So both my grandfathers were small business owners. My dad owned a men's clothing store with one of my grandfathers. My uncle owned a liquor store with my other grandfather. It was just, that's what you did. I was like in my teens when I kind of realized, oh, some dads just work Monday to Friday, like 9 to 5. That was not my dad. So it was just sort of, it's what I did. And then a long time ago now, when I moved to California and I was looking for a job, there was an ad in the LA Times and it used the word entrepreneur, and I had no idea what that word was. This is the late 70s. And my dictionary didn't even have the word. So, and this is pre cell phone. So I go to this job interview telling all my friends, here's where I'm going. If I'm not back in like 2 hours, come look for me. And it turned out it was at Entrepreneur Magazine, and I got the job, and there it was. And so it started from there, and I've been covering it, like you've said, for over 30 years now. And it's just really become such an important driver in my life, because there's nothing better than being able to help somebody achieve their dream, right? It's not about me. It's some word I said or something I wrote or something I referenced that helps somebody achieve their dream. And that's just the best feeling there is.
Just to point out for reference for those of our younger followers, most ads for jobs were in the newspaper at one point for quite a while until Monster and all the others came along. So just to point that out, and that's fantastic. That's where I got my first jobs at the New York Times.
That's so funny.
But so in that time, what kind of companies were really reaching out at that point and reading Entrepreneur Magazine and you helping to develop as they were trying to get themselves started and structured within their business?
Well, back then, the word entrepreneur really wasn't, like I said, it wasn't even in my dictionary. It wasn't really known. It wasn't really embraced. So you're talking really small businesses. Like my dad, he owned a men's clothing store. What we call today Main Street businesses. These are the businesses that somebody, opens a restaurant, opens a store. They're on a street in their neighborhood, because this is, when like my dad started, this is pre-mall. So the stores in the neighborhood were in that neighborhood, and it was a very confined sense. And then when the malls opened, the neighborhood got bigger. And then when the internet came along, the neighborhood became infinite, right? Mm-hmm. Your customers can be anywhere. And so, back then it was mainly, you're talking Main Street businesses, and you had some people who maybe had that entrepreneurial dream, though not labeling that it wasn't just a store in the neighborhood. They wanted to have, 1,000 stores across the country, like franchising, so McDonald's starts as here's a hamburger joint. Somebody walks in and goes, oh, I can scale this exponentially. And this is back in the 50s. And that's what happened. So I think people come to small business even today with two different mindsets. There's one that says, I want to create this business for myself, for my family. I want to really do well, but this is it. I don't want to do a second or a third or a 50th. And then there are the others who say, you know what, I am just really committed to this idea. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to expand. And then the way to expand, you either franchise or you do it like Starbucks and just open, tons of company stores. And it's not just stores and restaurants. You can expand service businesses as well. So I think it's a matter of your mindset and what you're comfortable with and what you want to do.
And it's very important because, again, it's great when people have these goals and aspirations and they go out and set out to do it, but they have to get a sense of what they want to be accomplishing, and then a real flow for how to accomplish it on a daily basis.
Yes, it's a very different way of running a business, running one business and then building a chain. It's different amount of hands-on and what you're actually doing and what do you want to do.
Now, today, there's tons of different resources at people's fingertips. They can go online, and there's webinars and books and all these things. But when you was working in the early days of the magazine, as you developed within the Entrepreneur Magazine, this was a very rare resource for people to learn about how to run their business and how to grow educationally to know exactly how to make things work better. So was there is there pride? I don't know if pride is the right word, but it was there. How much weight was on the shoulders of the magazine to be that resource for so many years?
Well, I think we were kind of undiscovered for a long time because the world hadn't caught up to us, right? When you think about what people were thinking in the late 70s and actually through most of the 80s, it was everybody, what was their goal was to climb the corporate ladder. That's what really everybody wanted to do. They wanted to achieve in a corporation. And it wasn't until really, I tell this story, but it's 100% true. Sometime in the mid 80s, I was homesick and I was in bed and I was watching General Hospital, which is my guilty pleasure. I still do that today. And there's this rich family on General Hospital, and one of their sons was a doctor, but his dad was a businessman. And this doctor is standing around the nurse's station and he's flirting with a nurse and he goes, yeah, my dad, he's a real entrepreneur. And that was the first time I'd heard that word outside, our little world, and it was on a soap opera. So, that's the medium of the masses, right? Mm-hmm. So something clicked there, and it's like, okay, this is now, it's so different. It's now we're using this word and we're defining it, and so the world kind of caught up with us. Entrepreneur Magazine, it started as, I think they changed their name to Entrepreneur back in 1977. So it was interesting. Up till then, there was the magazine did a lot of, here's how to start a business. It was very startup focused. Okay. And then, the whole world changed really in the 90s with the first white collar recession, where all these people who were trying to climb the corporate ladder all got laid off. A lot of it fueled by women and minorities who had joined the corporate workforce for the first time, but last hired, first fired. So they found themselves out of jobs in the 90s. And so that's when the whole job engine started. The small business engine started fueling up was the early 90s, and then mid 90s, the internet, and that was it. When you think about during the Clinton administration from 92 to 2000, and this isn't political, but it's just a time frame, there were 23 million jobs created. Most of those were created by small businesses, most of whom started in that decade, fueled by all those things that I said. And then you get the internet, which makes everything about running a business easier. Information's more accessible. It's cheaper. You now have forms you can use. You don't need to do this. You can do you don't need a bookkeeper. You can buy software, and it just revolutionized the whole way small businesses operated from up to that point. And we haven't looked back since.
And you spent all your career working with these small businesses, not just in the magazine world, but hands-on helping businesses to achieve what their goals are. Now, what kind of, I guess, what are the biggest questions that people usually had for you to help them start their business?
It's about, they knew what they wanted to do. So I think this is still true to this day. It's a little bit different because today's business owners, back then entrepreneurship was still a little bit unusual, exotic. Today it's not. So now people are coming to it more prepared, but back then people were passionate about what they knew, but they didn't know any of the other aspects of running a business. So there was a lot of, oh, okay, wait, I need to know what a business plan is. Oh, I need to do a financial plan. Oh, I need to figure out marketing. It was a lot. The internet made things easier, but more complex at the same time because you have more choices. Where back in the 50s, what did you do? There was nothing there. You could put an ad in the newspaper, put an ad in the yellow pages, yellow pages, like that's something nobody, even thinks about today. So it was there, you had fewer choices. So it was a lot easier to accomplish that, where today you have so many choices in terms of how to market your business, how to expand your business, how to grow your business. And so while it makes it easier, it just can be overwhelming at the same time.
So with that level of overwhelming, and I laugh with, I actually did access the yellow pages for research reasons yesterday on a rare occasion. What would be the number one strategy that works well for you and the client, really the clients that you're working with now to achieve their marketing goals?
So I think that the main thing is that so many small businesses, because there are so many options, they think, okay, I've read about this social media thing, let's go back 5-6 years. And so I'm going to focus on social media, and they create this, okay, here's my social media concentration. And instead of realizing that marketing needs to be integrated, it's not individual silos. You need to integrate all your marketing. You need a social media strategy. You need a search engine strategy. You need maybe video strategy, maybe an email strategy, maybe, all these different things need to be put together, because the goal, marketing is not your goal. Marketing is a vehicle to get to your goal, which is either to get people into your business if you have a physical business, or to get people to your website. That's the whole reason marketing exists. It's to get people to that destination. And the only way to do that is to integrate all these things and cross promote, so one supports the other. And not enough people do that.
It's very true. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, especially with small businesses, that seems to be one marketing hat, but it's multiple marketing hats within that one hat, in addition to the finance hat and the HR hat. And small business owners are weighed down heavily by all these different hats, unless you're big enough to have the right people internally or strategic enough to bring in the right people externally to help you with this. It's just, it's overwhelming.
It is. And the key is also marketing is never finished, right? So it's like, oh, you've hit on this and, oh, it's working great. So it's not like, an insurance policy that you put in your drawer and go, okay, I'm finished. And you go on and do your business. You're constantly having to test and see what else you can do to see if your test still works, or if this new thing comes in and adds to it and makes it better, or supplants it. Now you're on a different strategy because something works differently. For instance, 3 years ago, voice marketing. Nobody heard of it, and I'm not going to say the word because it'll trigger her. But now the voice marketing has just grown exponentially in the last 3 years. So business consumers are turning to their digital voice assistants, and there are numerous ones, to actually conduct business. So as a business owner, you have to optimize your business listings for voice as well. If you have a Google Home, for instance, and you ask it about a business, it'll read that snippet that's on your Google page. It'll actually read it to you. So a lot of business owners just overlook that. They think, well, that's what Google said and it doesn't matter, and they don't check it. They don't make sure it's updated. Somebody will ask it and they're getting inaccurate information, and it's all on you. I mean, that's another thing that you have to do in marketing, is make sure all your listings are up to date. There's so much to do because there's now so many avenues for you to get the word out about your business.
And it's good that there are resources like you to help share that information,
We try.
guide people.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that is such a big thing, but such a small little detail that so many, if you've moved businesses from one location to the other, I spoke to someone in an advertising agency, they can be in their fourth location in 5 years. You have to keep up with that and make sure the address is right and the phone number is right.
Right.
And Google gets very upset if it's not, but they'll also share the wrong information if it's not.
Right. And or if you're a retail store and you have different holiday hours
Mm-hmm.
and you don't change them and then change them back on that listing, you
You're
end up
closed
with
to Thursday for 3 months.
Exactly. You end up with a lot of aggravated consumers if you say you're open at 9 and you forgot to change it back and somebody shows up at 9 and you don't open for an hour. You know, they're not going to come back. They're going to go somewhere else. That's
Exactly.
the key to marketing today too. It's easy to find other businesses who do what you do. So you need to do it right the first time or you're going to send people to some to your competitors actually.
That first impression is always extremely important, and with all this new technology, even more so every day. There's more need to make sure that you are dressed the right way for people to see you for the first time.
Exactly.
But thank you so much. There's just so much information. I'm sure you can share so much more from all the different types of businesses that you've worked with and the pitfalls and issues. But what's the best way for people to get more information about you and everything that you're doing?
Well, you can check us out on smallbizdaily.com. We put up a lot of new information every day. If you want to talk to me, Twitter, it's Rieva, R-I-E-V-A. I'm constantly on Twitter, or just email me at Rieva, R-I-E-V-A, at smallbizdaily.com, and I'll be sure to get back to you.
Well, Rieva, thank you so much for everything and just sharing your time with everyone, and really this great information. And for me, I enjoy this immensely. Just the concepts that from days past that I still had access and dealt with, and anyone who brings up Yellow Pages, there's a smile on my face anyway.
Exactly. Well, it was my pleasure. Thanks.
And thank you everyone for joining us today. Again, it's 30 Days of Marketing Mavens. Here's a great example of what we're talking about here, brought to you by Profit Master Business Solutions. Go out and have a great day today, and we will see you next time.